So, Leonardo, given that we just ended on your film, I want to start with it.
Okay.
I think it's really a credit to your film that you really have no idea where you're going. It feels very unexpected. When you were writing it, did you know where it was going to end?
Oh no. no. I didn't have any idea. Actually, the idea was not to have an idea of where it was going, basically. If that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew the first scene, like when he stops playing tennis and he says, "I lost the passion," and after that, I really didn't know. Like it was, you start writing and developing the characters. Then as well, some scenes with the girls. For example, like we met, we rehearsed, improvised. I was having some ideas. Then I was writing about those improvisations and then making the script of those scenes of the girls. And yeah, that.
Are you more of a Juan or a Pedro?
Oh, what a question, no? Like, what is everyone going to think? I don't know.
Well, one's lost all the passion.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. I think, of course, all film is visual, but I think all of these films are exceedingly beautiful. And I'm just curious to hear about everyone's sort of approach to the visual style of your film. Like Manuela, your aspect ratio, it's like a deliberate choice. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, we were inspired by these pictures of a Japanese group of women who are divers. It's called Ama Divers, and we saw this documentary, an old documentary from the 80s. And we loved the way it was, the aspect ratio it had. And we also liked the idea of the documentary as a mixture between, like, this mixture between documenting these women that were real collectors, seaweed collectors, and putting this fiction inside it, this context. So we thought that the 3x4 was like nice, and also because we wanted to focus more on the characters than the landscape. So we thought like maybe a horizontal ratio would be less focusing on faces and people.
David, I know the look of your film was, much of its content is its formal characteristics.
Yeah, well, I guess the whole shooting process and the editing process wasn't perhaps the standard way you would go about with a narrative film. The drive behind it wasn't to shoot these scenes to explain a sort of narrative that's going to sort of progress and make sure that you convey certain things to an audience. So the whole genesis of the project was to just have these series of single shot vignettes sort of cut together. So each shot, I guess, was none of it was storyboarded, but it was thought out when we got to the location to be as sort of visually interesting as possible. So like, for instance, the scene on the bus at the end, which I think the light does pretty interesting things when it sort of goes around. None of that was thought out. We sort of got there on the day and spent about an hour trying to figure out where to place the camera. And then we kind of got the framing and started to drive around, and we were like, well, when it goes around these corners, it sort of does these amazing things with the light. So I guess that was the sort of, and shooting on film as well, just because when you're doing a project that's so visually orientated, perhaps, I just think film looks incredible. So I wanted to, just for that very reason, shoot on film. Yeah.
Raphael, I feel like yours is also very visual, particularly with when Sigi destroys the, I don't know what it's called, the machine.
Compressor or something.
The compressor.
Yeah.
what were your visual influences?
Well, I mean, that scene really was kind of difficult because it was very cold. We shot in January, so it had like, and we shot until like 3 o'clock in the morning. So the whole, like, I had to cut a lot of planned pictures. So it's a little bit different that I have planned it. But the whole film visually really is not that. I mean, it was kind of like, it's very difficult to shoot, like, to find a farm where there lives a donkey, because there's very really, I mean, there's just a couple of donkeys in Austria left. So I don't know. So there wasn't a lot of choices for like how the farm is supposed to look. Like, I had this vision of the farm, but I couldn't find it with a donkey. And then I've asked the lady with the donkeys if I can take a donkey to a farm that I found, like, across the border in Hungary. And she said, no, the donkey doesn't travel. So that's, I mean, we just shot where we were able to shoot, really, so, yeah.
So location scouting was donkey scouting?
Yeah. But I've spent 2 months looking for farms. So I've spent time looking for the perfect location. And then I was told I couldn't get the donkey there. So that was really a waste of time.
Agostina and Francisco, and I guess this is a question also for Miel and Renzo. I know that improvisation was important in your filmmaking, and I'm curious about the advantages for you.
Well, we work with the improvisation method during the shoot because Miel and Renzo are also very familiar with this method, and we had a script with lines, but they didn't learn them by heart. Well, a little bit, but then we started improvising on top of that, and after the improvisation, we improvised on top of that improvisation until the scene became like alive, and because we were looking for a naturalistic acting, we wanted to find like the truth, like or like we wanted them to be very honest and sincere and transparent. That's why we used a lot of improvisation.
And like also like thematically, the short film is about a girl that is lying, that it's a compulsive liar. We wanted to work with truth to generate some confusion there. There's a lot of truth in the short film, but it's about a liar. So we wanted to cross that different things in order to create some ambiguity, and that was our process and our method.
Yeah, and also I think that the tone that their performances have is because of the improvisation. If we would have scripted, like if we would have wrote all the lines, I don't think we could have gotten that tone of in their performance as if we weren't improvising.
Well, there's a detail, like Renzo doesn't speak a word in English, so there's like reality there, and and although I work at the Film Society as a projectionist, and I have a friend that works like with tourists in apartments, so really near to the Film Society. And although the short film has a really like fiction like style, it's really a documentary of things that were really happening in that summer, and I think that transcends the screen in a sort of way. I don't know. I feel it like that. And well, that.
Just to be clear, not this Film Society.
No, no, in Argentina. Maybe. Well, there's like a really precise like method in Miel and Renzo studied in a film school in Argentina, like film school, not an acting school in Argentina, where some actresses of Leo Bresicki's short film study too, and they have like really precise method about like being in the present, and it's like the acting is really like improvised, and they are really in the present, and that we really believe that cinema is like an art, like it goes like in the present, and you have to like protect that present, or I don't know how to explain it, but protect that truth, that moment, and we act like in that way, like with the direction. So we, when you were talking about like the photography, we're really surprised about what you say, because we shoot with a little camera with natural light. There are not artificial light in our short film, because we wanted to capture that truth, that reality, and not to like contaminate, like to not contaminate, but to interfere in the acting and in that truth. We're really like severe with that. That's
I don't know, and the palm reading scene is basically like half of it is improvised, because of, well, like Miel invented like a lot of very like funny things, like the heart attack, everything is like came out of improvisation, and then we cut it and it works as, I don't know if you can tell if it was improvised or not, but well, half of it was.
we have like, the script was based on like cinephile references, like some Hitchcock films like Marnie and Family Plot, like with that like, well, references, like very cinephile and precise references that we wanted to work with, and that was a script in the film.
Do we have any audience questions?
Raphael, you found your farmer and his wife, or they were not professionals, were they?
No, they were professionals.
They were professionals.
Yes.
So they did exactly as you told them.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, they did most of the times, but sometimes we debated something. But I was looking for actual farmers while I was doing that location scouting, and the thing is, there were some farmers who wanted to do it, but they won't go outside in the wintertime because they're very old, and it's like they can't just handle the cold, really. So then I had to take actors. Yeah.
Actors will go outside in the wintertime.
Yes, actors. They don't know. Actors don't know how cold it can be when you're spending like the whole day outside.
Any other questions?
No, I haven't. But I have to tell you, there is a much more cruel ending to the film as well, which I've edited out. So there is like in the screenplay, the scene where the donkey collapses is written as the donkey is kind of like breathing heavily, and then the farmer takes a huge piece of wood and then he kind of like crushes the skull, which we've shot actually. But I've edited it out, so like, you know, yeah. But I have never thought about not having him die at the end.
Well, I think on that note, we're going to wrap things up.
Just say.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you to the filmmakers.